Yesterday, the government of Donald Trump announced that it was going to go ahead and place punishing tariffs on Canadian imports to the United States, 35%. They were 25%. This is going to have a brutal effect on the Canadian economy. And in terms of what Canada can do in response, it's important now to start thinking about that. Canada needs to improve its performance in terms of its industry, in terms of its military, in terms of its culture. It needs to be more productive. It needs to be more goal-oriented and so forth. And Prime Minister Mark Carney seems to grasp that sort of basic concept, that basic outline, but how to get to those, how to achieve those goals is a different question. The devil is in the details. And in particular, I would like to focus on the whole question of culture, because I know that world well, particularly book publishing culture. Canadian books publish, or rather sell, around 400 to 500 copies per title. In terms of the overall book market in Canada, the percentage of books that are by Canadian-owned presses, by Canadian authors, is around 5%. According to the publisher Dan Wells, that is the worst performance in the literate world, according to the publisher Kenneth White. This performance is pathetic, quote unquote. Something needs to be done. It's easier to talk about selling books than it is to actually sell them. Obviously, you talk to a publisher about the challenges they face, and you realize that quite quickly. Nevertheless, I had an interesting conversation with a Canadian writer who was visiting Seoul for a few days, and he mentioned that Canadian book publishers simply have trouble getting their titles, their product, into Canadian bookstores, the big chain bookstores. Why aren't Canadian book publishers protesting this more? Why aren't they making more of an issue out of this? Second of all, just speaking personally, I do think that Canadian book publishing, in terms of literary fiction, has become remarkably predictable. You can almost foresee the themes that will be tackled from one publishing season to the next. I do think that we need to start tackling new themes, as I've mentioned repeatedly. I think we need to produce more ambitious novels. I've tried to get people in Canadian publishing to read my long social novel about contemporary Canada. Nobody will even read the manuscript. They won't even give it a chance. Similarly, I've written a manuscript about the Canadian landings at Juno Beach, the amphibious landings. We still do not have a novel about that particular topic. And you have to ask why, what is the resistance? There is a big focus in Canadian publishing on identitarian themes, and that's fine up to a point, but there has to be more of a balance. And so the question that I have is, when is Canadian publishing going to try to produce titles that are more likely to sell more copies and have more of an impact on the greater culture?